Hey, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our town hall meeting to specifically deal with the height and regulation that we have on one of the most important corridors near San Souci. I want to say thank you to everyone who made it this evening. I don't like Fridays, and I know you guys don't either, but we did the best that we could. We were trying to do the meeting Wednesday. Something was going on, and yesterday we had a traffic calming stuff that was happening, and I wanted to listen to the residents before we actually had this item. So this item was on the agenda, and I asked the developers if they could defer it for me to have an opportunity to listen to the residents, which they did, and I'm appreciative of that. So I really want to have an opportunity to listen and kind of formulate the thoughts, and together, and I sincerely mean it, together we will come up with something that is good for us, for the city, and for everyone involved. And I have, I can say, I see our the Keystone homeowner president is in the back, Karen De Leon, and Karen and I, we could say we have a little experience of doing just that in terms of working with a similar project, which is the White House on the other end. So again, this meeting is going to be about the height. We want to try to keep it there, and we'll talk about a little bit of the land development regulation, the LDR, and there will be a brief presentation that will be done by the development department. Ms. Love will introduce Derek Cook, but I really want to sit down, listen, and hear from residents. I've received a lot of emails on the topic, which I have been getting for the past few months dealing with this. It seems a little bit longer, but before we get going, I do want to acknowledge our interim city manager, Annabelle Emmanuel, who's here with us. We also have our police chief and Sharice Gaz, and our assistant police chief, Angel Rivera, who is here with us. And I will turn it over to Ms. Debbie Love, who is the director of our development department, which is going to do a brief introduction, and everyone will have an opportunity to speak. Your voice will be heard, and I'm a good listener as a teacher. I could definitely listen, and I will be writing down suggestion and comments. And my whole thoughts of dealing with developments and stuff, I like smart development for the city, that where we as a city could grow. I don't really listen to in terms of the developers. I don't mind, I understand it's a business when it comes to, development. I'm not anti-development by all means, but it's always, for me, always about the residents and what we could do together in a win-win situation that's best for the city. So with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Debbie Love, who's going to take it away, and I'll sit and take some notes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everyone. As the mayor said, my name is Debbie Love. I'm the Development Services Director. Our department is responsible for both the entitlement side as well as the building permitting side. So we do have a lot of work going on, and we're glad you're here tonight to learn a little bit about this. And it's really for us to hear from you as a town hall. We have a setup. You all should have received a dot. You have one vote tonight. After Mr. Cook makes his presentation, one of the things we're going to ask you to do is to come up here, and you see this board here. You have one vote, either a yes, a no, yes but, because you may have some ideas for compromise, or no but. So if you have a yes but, we have something for you to write on, and you'd put your vote on that one, and you'd write your but part. So it could be a compromise with height, it could be something else. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce one of my favorite people in the world, Derek Cook. He is the Assistant Director for Land Use Services Division of the Development Services Department. And Mr. Cook, would you like to join us here? And we do have somebody who has a question right here. That's what I said, yes. When you get to that, we have something for you to write with, okay?
6:30, hopefully we'll get out of here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the idea.
Good evening, And thank you, Ms. Love, for the introduction, and thank you for being here this evening. I'm going to do a brief presentation, just giving you an overview of what the request is by the applicant, and then hear from you as to Mr. Mayor has stated, and what your concerns are, what your suggestions may be. Thank you. You can do the lights for me, please. So, what we have here is a request for a comprehensive plan text amendment and a land development regulations text amendment. As you know, the site is dealing with these three sites that are south of Northeast 123rd Street. That is approximately 5 acres, 0.89, and you're looking at the Bayshore Zone and the zoning district, which is the BC district, which currently has a maximum height of 115 feet, not 110 feet. That 110 feet is related to the White House Inn location, which is restricted to 110 feet. And it has a maximum density of 100 units per acre. And this property is also eligible for a conditional use permit process to get additional bonus units. And that is the case for any property that is in our multifamily zone district. They are eligible for additional bonus units through the conditional use permit process. And there are also overlay districts in the district, in the city, that are also eligible for floating bonus units that they can achieve through the conditional use permit process. So, as stated, you have the comprehensive plan text amendment. In conjunction with that comprehensive plan text amendment, you have the land development regulations text amendment. And what this encompasses, the applicant is seeking, through a conditional use permit, to revise our land development regulations and our comprehensive regulations to allow for them to seek a height up to 238 feet, 10 inches through the conditional use permit. So let me explain that for some of you who may not be aware of what the conditional use permit process entails. And that entails going to an application process, a pre-application process, an application process, sitting down with the staff and discussing the parameters, and there are certain conditions that that applicant needs to meet as it relates to the conditional use permit process in of itself. In addition to those conditions, the applicant has proffered that the development also provide public access to the Biscayne Bay, either through their property or they would provide for access through other means, like the park that is immediately adjacent to the property on the north side of it. It also talks about a proposal to be either LEED certified or equivalent. The proposal also talks about a setback from a minimum of 75 feet from the closest property line that is zoned for residential. And the final is that they have the option to proffer for a community benefit package. The applicant has expressed more than one occasion that they are more than happy to participate in the community benefit package. That community benefit package would include interaction with the community on what they would like to have done, and it would need to go through Planning Commission for approval and recommendation for approval to City Council, and it would go before City Council for ultimate approval or whatever that community package would be. And all of that would be in concert with the community and sitting down and talking with you on what they could provide. And the last part of this application is that they want to confirm that this conditional use permit cannot be utilized to impact the White House Inn property, which is located on the north side of Northeast 123rd Street. And as I stated earlier, as it relates to the conditional use permit process, that involves going to the Planning Commission, getting the recommendation, and then going to City Council. This is not a by right request. Even if they get to City Council, they would still need to get that approval. And that approval doesn't guarantee it will be your 238 feet and 10 inches. It could be 150 feet. It could be 175 feet. But it's just important to know it's just a request, and the request maximum height is 230 feet, 238 feet 10 inches. That concludes my presentation. The next step is that they're looking for first reading at the May 28th meeting. The second reading will be determined, and ultimately, if it is adopted, it would need 31 days after that to become codified. Thank you.
I'm kind of shocked. If we get some light, that was very, very brief, Derek, and very informative. But thank you. Again, I think Derek stated this is just a proposal, what they have asked, and I know that this have passed the Board of Adjustment. It's coming before us on the 28th, our next council meeting. I did meet with the developer and some of the representative, and I told them that, and I think they dealt with me before in some of the various projects, and so they kind of know that I'll be engaging the community and listening to all that. But I do want to start by saying that one of the things that I think people knows about me, for someone who's been here for 30 years in North Miami, seen the growth, the good and the bad of our city, but mainly the good. We used to be the city of from all over the county. The no now things are getting moving. But I caution folks. I said, listen, we want to be able to move things in a manner that's very respectable to the residents near the project, but also something that makes sense, that's smart to us and to the residents in terms of that. I have been getting a lot of emails prior to the meeting. Right now, I think the Mallorca Tower is the highest building in that area, and they are 115 or 120, 69, yeah, 169. So the request that they are asking is 238 10-inch, which is right base, okay. So as of right, they are at, if 115, okay. So as of right is 115. So I want to talk about numbers so that we could keep that into perspective. So 115 they could do. They don't need nothing from us in terms of that. If they need to go any higher, they could go there, and that's where we come in terms of that. Before we get into the conversation, I do want to put this out there. Something that occurred while we all were paying attention, I guess not paying attention to our friends in Tallahassee. They passed this thing called Live Local Act, which is a law basically that's supposed to help affordable housing. But I think by this summer, and we by no indication, we know that the governor will sign it into law. But if he doesn't, it'll become law anyhow in a couple of weeks. But it basically take rights away from municipalities, and that's why all cities, the League of Cities, the Florida League of Cities, were against it. So a lot of these decisions that we have now, it will be no longer with us. Tallahassee has given the developers the rights to do certain things, and they call it administratively in terms of helping us out. We're like, how could you help us out if you're all the way up there in Tallahassee and somebody in the middle of the state may have an issue with something, but you now impose it, which they've been doing the preemption with us cities on almost every issue. So this, I'm just saying, after the summer, this would be something where the developers will just be doing whatever that they need to do. I think the variance will be the only thing that if they need any type of specific variance, they may need to come to us, but there's other things. But so I'll caution you guys, please review this Live Local Act law that passed, and that will be the law of the land in a couple of weeks, basically. And the governor has indicated that they're very strong support of it. The business community was very, very strong support of it. So that will happen as a result of that. So Ms. Love, it's all yours now.
Mayor, I do have a brief update for you on the Live Local, sir. It was actually he signed it into law, and it was one of those that becomes effective immediately. So it is now in effect. So, let's start by voting, shall we? And then we're going to talk, all right?
So this is the board. You have received your dot. As Ms. Love has said earlier, you either have a yes, a no, a yes, but a qualification, a no, but a qualification. And you can put it here. We have pens here that you can use to write down if you wish. Come on up.
And then you,
Welcome to-
and then after that, we'll have a discussion, and we'll have some thoughts from others, and you're sharing your actual thoughts, but we want to get the voting out of the way right away.
Mr. Marino, you do have a presentation, but I'll give you 5 minutes because everyone else, it's 2 minutes. We're trying to keep it in there.
Here you go.
Okay, run out.
It doesn't matter what color. All of them are yes or no or maybe.
Yes.
It's the color.
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Barreto, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, you want to go now? We won't be able to,
Let everybody vote.
okay,
and we'll
yeah.
do that. You have you have a presentation, or you just talking? Just talking.
Yep,
Then send it to me.
he sent it to me.
When did you send that?
I could forward it to you.
See it?
I got it, but I don't
didn't
know.
get it.
Yeah, you, I
could've been-
don't
could've been
think
in
you
front
were,
or something.
I don't think I saw your name on it.
Usually I get it, so
This is, okay, I'll forward it to you.
do we have to get
Oh,
it?
you probably, yeah. Dunya, should, can I email something to you? Or- Well, is it possible that, he has a presentation he wants to show real quick, remember it's 5 minutes.
Presentation? Yeah, but,
Can you email it to me?
flash drive?
Last time she, probably not.
Yeah, but send me,
Is it, you want to go find the flash drive for you?
Oh. No, yeah. Everybody, how are you? I'm good, brother. You look good. How you doing?
Has 2 minutes, then we have one.
Here it is, man. Oh, yes.
I'll make a presentation. Yes, I definitely will. I definitely have a presentation. But I will. I will make a presentation. I'll take a 5-minute presentation.
My team at present is let's go have your presentation for 5 minutes. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah. So that Pat Yes, but not necessarily the specific. So the Live Local Act would not qualify for this particular property. However, everybody do need to review it because it's a complicated law, and we don't even know how it's gonna. They're just taking stuff away from cities that knows the thing very well. So, yes, it deals with the heights.
And it deals with density,
Yeah, which is the most important part.
because it takes the highest density
In the city, exactly, and applies it everywhere. Yes. So that would be the 169.
No, that would be the as in right density.
Oh, so that would be the
So it'd
115.
100, no, the density is 100, roughly.
Oh, is it?
That's the highest
The
density
height.
that we have.
Yes,
in
it
the
is.
city. Now, the height
All right.
is within a half a mile. The tallest building
The
is
two
half a mile.
buildings where the former mayor used to live there, how tall are they? Next to Tropicana? The two, when,
Anything in a residential district doesn't count.
okay, so the residential district don't count.
Because what they'll do is because some of those are non-conforming. So if it's
Okay.
non-conforming, it doesn't count.
Thank you, Mayor. We really appreciate and staff the opportunity to present our case in front of you. Let's start saying that we all want new buildings, new developments, more tax revenue, and a modernization of our city. One saying that,
Walter, we're putting the timer for you
Okay,
now. You can
okay.
start, yes.
okay, then my name is Hernando Barreto. I live in Mallorca, in this area. We all are for new buildings, more tax revenue. Now, what is being proposed in those two lots is going well above and beyond the actual height that is, or the 11 floors that is allowed. Then that is a very small area, and the intention, as Mr. Cook said, for them is to request for density bonus, because in the both plans that they have presented density bonus of 25%. One of building is 78, is allowed 78. They are planning to have 96. The other building is allowed to have 211, and they are planning to go 270. That means more than 380 new units in an area that used to have less than 60. Then this thing, the whole situation in this area started 2 years ago, and the developers have gone through different ways to try to overcome or force these high density, high altitude developments. The first try, and Ms. Love was there 2 years ago, the staff was there in the comprehensive plan. They tried to force the Moorhead 2 years ago. Then that didn't was accepted, didn't pass. Then they tried to go with the variance that didn't pass. Then now they are doing the text amendment. The text amendment is the right thing, is the right procedure. However, the problem with the text amendment is the text amendment is being proposed for BC zone, and now BC zone include the White House parcel. What that means is, if that text amendment, and it's including Mallorca, now it's even broader than before. Mallorca was not initially in the request, White House not, but now all those parcels are in. Then actually, if the text amendment will affect the entire BC zone. We have already discussed, but I will go pass through that, the situation with traffic, with flooding. I will focus on the height of the units. The LDR allowed 211. Luxury could be built in that. Actually, one of the reasons for the developer that was here saying is that it's not possible to develop luxury apartments in 115 feet high or in 10 floors. But actually, that is what is happening in the old White House zone, White House development. They are doing 54 units in 10 floors. Then it's possible to develop and make it profitable to develop those lots within the right, within the current height of that allow 11 floors. However,
You got a minute and a half, sir.
okay,
Minute and a
the
half.
whole process for a text amendment has several requests, several objectives and goals that has to be complied. I am not going through every one because for matter of time, but basically the whole arguments is that it's going to be good, it's going to be fine, is better, and the goal and the objectives are satisfied. We have one by one point explained it already to the zoning commission, to the staff, and to the mayor. I cannot read it for a matter of time, that all those considerations, goals, and objectives are not valid. Then the point is, we are trying to come to a compromise with the developer. They call us today to set a meeting to find a way in which that land will allow them more floors, but or a higher altitude, but something that is not affecting the current character of the city. If this pass, this text amendment that has been done in less than 1 month, any other text amendment for any other place of the city could go the same route. And even the White House, they can start all over again, a new process, and take advantage of
That-
this amendment. Thank you.
That's your time.
Thank you
Very
so
nice.
very
You
much.
just,
Yes,
right
he
on
did it.
time.
Yes,
My
he did.
goodness, thank you so much, Ms. Barreto.
Patel, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's the correction that I wanted to make with your presentation. It's a little incorrect because, as you recall, when we were going through the White House complicated issue, that was one of the issues that came up towards the end of the negotiation with the homeowners. And Karen De Leon will tell you, I got with the deputy attorney, and we made sure there was restricted covenant that only applied to those specific to the White House property. So it did not affect the developers. Were trying to, as you recall, try to get the BZ zoning at the same time that they did the White House, and we made sure that we kept it separate. That had nothing to do with it, and we said this would be the right way. And you know that they did it the wrong way the last time, and we told them, no, you needed to go back and do the text amendment the correct way, the long way, which they are doing. So they are doing what we said would be done. I'm kind of glad to hear you where you say that it's a matter of what we could stomach there, what's going to be good for all of us as a residents, not necessarily, this is about us here listening to the residents in terms of where we are. Mr. Pavitel, you have 5 minutes.
Let me start my clock
And-
here.
And then we go into question. No, I have the clock. Okay, you ready?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor Dr. Alex. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Mr. Barreto for making the point that either Majorca Tower should never have been built, or we should remove it right now. Kind of crazy that this building, built in the late 50s, about 1959, is 2 stories, about 20 feet. Mid-Bay Club Apartments, built here in 1964, was 3 stories, not even 30 feet, about 27 feet high. This gets built in 1969, just 5 years later, and it goes from 3 stories to more than 14 stories. 5 times the amount this building was done. Maybe it should be built at all. And then, because this was built, the city puts a blanket over development in the city, and Mariners comes along, and they like to build up, but they're kept to a modest area, and that goes to only 4 floors, not even 40 feet. 160, less than 40, 4 times, and they have had this benefit for 55 years now. 55 years of being selfish and greedy and saying, we've got ours, the hell with everybody else. Nobody else should have
Pavitel,
it."
Bill, talking the mic, there's people listening at home.
I guess.
There's a-
Okay. In case you couldn't hear me, I think you could hear me. So that's a point. Let me also point out all the Majorca apartments Some of them face this way, going toward the city, and most of them, sorry, okay, thank you. I'm really not so, being from the
know.
Stone Age, I'm really not that
That's fine.
sophisticated.
We got you.
Okay, there you go, okay. Okay, let me point out that Majorca's apartments, there are a few of them on the inland side, 6 or 7 of them. Most of them on the water side. The 2 apartments that are here actually face inland and toward the water with only 2 windows each facing to the north. So it's not going to obstruct the views really at all. And I have the unit over here at the top that looks directly in that direction. And I'm not worried at all because the view line is like this, and you'll still be able to see this way and still be able to see that way. The views are not a concern. Let me get to a different point, though. Hopefully that proves the point that, this selfishness really should not be sustained. How do the developers work? How does this whole thing work? If we're looking to have development in the area, and we know they have a site, we know they have a certain number of units that are available to build, they will, that's the nature of the developers, that they will build those units. They will build those units. They will build it to the height they're allowed to do. What does that mean? They're squeezing in everything they can within that height limit. They're squeezing it, compressing everything in. They'll have smaller units, they'll have smaller lobby areas, they'll have the minimal amount of parking, minimal amount of amenities. They'll squeeze it in to get that done. Do we want that? Do we want an inferior building going up next to our Majorca Tower or the rest of the neighborhood? Do these $4 million homes, do they want inferior apartments going up brand new? That could possibly, because they're built so in a stunted way that in 20 years or so, it's economically unfeasible, and then they have to be taken down again? Is that the sustainability? Our council voted to ban plastic straws. Are they going to vote to say, hey, we're going to build it this, and then 10 years later, we're going to build another one, we'll take it down, we'll take it down, we'll do it again? Let's do something right for once. In addition to that, what happens when you put more square footage into a building? It means that the unit size will go up. The unit size goes up, it means that you get toward a luxury end apartment. If you get a luxury end apartment, you have a little bit more parking spaces, but you have it where people use it for their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th homes.
1 minute warning,
These pe-
please.
Thank you. These people will not even be using the apartments if we go high-end enough. If you get little hovels, like we see throughout the city, and including what I've lived in and elsewhere in Majorca, I don't mean to say the word hovels, but when you get small apartments, it's people's only investment, their only rental. They occupy it 24/7, 7 days a week throughout the year. You do high-end luxury condominiums, not rentals, condominiums. People have it as an investment. They do not use it around the clock. You will get less traffic. You'll get less usage of the sanitary system, the water system, everything else. It's just a plus. On top of that, you could get 250% of the revenue for the smaller building going to the city to help us with our infrastructure, to help with all the needs that the city has. And you know what? A bigger, better structure there is going to need just about no attention from the city once it gets built,
Yes, ma'am.
right? It's a win-win for the city, for everyone, including the resale value of Majorca, because they'll be the first ones to show up when all of a sudden a developer wants to buy that. They'll be the first ones lined up to double their height, to triple their capacity,
please.
because they need to make it out on it. Thank you very much. I'm at 10
Thank you,
seconds.
Mr. Prevotto.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Yeah, no,
Thank you.
he was good. He was good. Yes, now it's open to the public. Yes, sir. Do we, yeah, to the mic, yeah.
You got to say your name and address for the record, good sir?
I live in Milwaukee Towers as well, and my name is Daryl Lynham. And I disagree with a lot that's being said, and also with the votes, but it doesn't matter. That new law is going to impact us, I feel, in the future. But the main point is, for me, is the infrastructure around these structures that's going to be built. We already stretched thin, or the traffic in that area is just horrible. I mean, it's just horrible, and all of you know that, okay? And whether it's 125 floors or 250 floors, better revenue for the city, whatever, yes. But what's going to happen to the residents who live there, trying to get in and out of those buildings during time to go to work? I'm retired. It's not going to impact me. But I do go out in the street and access the streets and things, and it's just horrible. And this is going to make it worse. During the construction time, once it's done, you got more units, more families, more vehicles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Oh, no, I forgot about that. Yes. Pat, just make the comment, yes, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, that's really my main issue, whether it's they get the additional floors or not. It's not going to impact me as much it may impact others. However, I just feel like the infrastructure in North Miami is not adequate yet
Yes.
for more and more apartment buildings, more units, more people moving into the city. Yes, more better tax base, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as living conditions, it's going to be horrible.
Got it. Thank you so much. Next? Yes, please, ma'am. Next, anyone else? Yes, Mr. Rowland, come on up. And right after Frank, whoever wants to come in.
Thank you, Mayor, staff. I'm Frank Wolin. I represent DLV 305 LLC. My client owns some properties in Mariners Bay. And I want, first of all, to encourage staff and to encourage the council to support the project. I think it's a good project, and the zoning itself is important. This is the most valuable land, bar none, in the whole city of North Miami. And it has the potential to create millions and millions of dollars of tax revenue for our schools, for our police, for our library, for our parks. And the question is, to me, what's the most creative, what's the best way to do this that will give us something we can be proud of? Okay? And as far as the height goes, I don't think 239 feet is high. And I'm involved in other developments, 70 stories in the city of Miami, 56 stories in Sunny Isles. I'm working on a property next to Armani Casa, 53 stories high, $3 to $10 million. It's $1 billion building, and it's beautiful. When you're standing here and you're looking, you know what? It'd be nice to see the bay. When you have a tall building that is, I could call it a spire, you can see the bay. You can walk on both sides of it. You can access the beach in front of it. You're not standing there going like, oh my gosh, this is so tall. It doesn't really make a difference. We allow 400 feet in Biscayne Landings, Solomia, excuse me, and why have this way? The other thing that is important, I'll take 30 seconds if I may, is they've suggested access by the park. And I think it is real important to have public access, especially because the city is giving something up. And I think that's something for the public in return. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, anybody? Yes, go on. Yes.
Come on up.
Name and address.
Okay.
Patricia Wood, Mallorca Towers, Unit 806, Penthouse 2. Just a quick clarification regarding the gentleman that mentioned about the traffic and more cars and everything. As my understanding, none of the developers that are making this request are asking to change any density at all. So that means that the number of apartments are exactly the same amount with the
They
same
all do.
parking spaces. So
Just a hun-
I ask people to try to don't get information and try to educate yourself, because this is really something really good for the city. And I live in North Miami for more than 20 years. And this is like a gift for us. I have 2 apartments in Mallorca Towers, and I can't wait for these developers to start doing something luxury. So my apartment can double or triple the price. Right now, Mallorca Towers is being flat. I'm a realtor as well. I just sold 4 apartments in less than 1 month in Mallorca Towers for less than $400,000. This is not seen anywhere in Miami. So we need these luxury buildings to come to our city for revenues, for more work, luxury, more comfort. We don't have that. When we look that for something like that, we go to Aventura, Sunny Isles, Brickell. Why we can have that in our city? We need people to come to our city, not us go and spend the money someplace else. Because, yeah, we like the tall buildings in Brickell, we like the buildings in Aventura, Sunny Isles. We all say how amazing they are. We can have that, and we have this amazing opportunity from amazing developers, very well educated and known, and building everywhere in the world. Having this coming to North Miami, I think is a blessing, and we should be proud of that choosing our city to come and put their signature on it. That's it, and I'm sorry.
Yes, and there's one clarification Ms. Love wants to make regarding the density that was mentioned. Yes.
I don't know how to use your phone. It does not change the density. Any development that's multifamily throughout the city, that's zoned throughout the city, can qualify through a conditional use permit for an additional 25 dwelling units per acre. That's as of right. That does, but no. It's based upon the footprint. It's based upon the size of the property. The height has nothing to do with it. It's based on, density is based upon the square footage of the property. But you can't go over what's allowed, sir. Right. Okay. All right, I've explained the situation, Ms. Barreto. It's based upon your parcel size. Your density is calculated. They initially were calculating their property that went into the water. Water does not have density, so they can only count the upland as far as the acreage that they can calculate for the purposes of density. So if you have an acre, let's just say you have a property of 1 acre, at 100 dwelling units per acre, you can have 100 dwelling units plus another 25 dwelling units per acre for a total of 125. So if there was an acre, it would be 125 dwelling units max, regardless of the height. Height has nothing to do with it. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that this does not affect the density, doesn't give them any special privileges that's not allowed in other multifamily residential districts. Okay? Everybody does. Right, everybody does, Mr. Barreto, throughout the residential districts.
Nothing special, like they're not asking for nothing. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, please, let her, yes.
We have a speaker. Go ahead.
We have a speaker, that's
No,
fine.
no, you already had your presentation.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. I want to thank you for having the town hall meeting, because a lot of times I feel that we're not considered as the residents that are there. And also, I would say out of all those yes votes, if they're from Mariners Bay, they're not going to be living there, the most of them. Okay? Oh, yeah? Well, we'll see where you're going to live there. But I think a few of you will be, but the majority. And another thing is, I am an heir to an owner at Mariners Bay, so I have my interest in that too. My mom owns a unit. But I live there, so I'm not going against my mother or the people at Mariners Bay, but I sincerely believe that a development could be made at the zoning that is currently there. And that's a recent zoning. We are going from 4 floors to triple that without this change of district. Okay, so for you to they have that now, and if they just would take it, we'd be done. They can pay off Mariners Bay. They can build a beautiful, expensive building in Surfside. Arte, they're like $22 million. There are 8 floors of really pricey units. So it's not necessary to be density, to be tiny, to make the project work. And to just address the infrastructure, it's a mess, okay? We're not talking traffic, because this isn't about traffic, but it's a mess. It rains for an hour or two. We have floods. My plumbing, we have to do laundry at low tide, because all of the water from the street goes through a pipe into the bay. It's also going to be really detrimental to our bay, which horrifies me. There used to be, and I've lived there 38 years, and I grew up in North Miami, so everybody criticized my emotionalness, so I won't go to a voting meeting because steam comes out of my ear. I can't sleep for 3 days, and I'm just infuriated that 5 people can negatively affect my existence that I've worked so hard to achieve. And I love North Miami. I don't like the idea of us succeeding and going to another city because we're not being taken care of. And I would like a new building, and I would like new neighbors. And one more thing before my time's up, we need that park. It's my dog park. And I don't think it needs improvements. The city takes care of it well. It is well used. From the outside, it looks kind of shabby, but it's awesome. And a lot of people will go there and save the park.
Awesome. Thank you. Next. Yes, love it. Yes. Need to figure out. I know.
Okay. Eileen B. Cabot, 13350 Northeast 3rd Court. I do not live in that area. However, I do live in an area that was severely affected by the negative impact and the decisions of this city. We flood as a result of the construction that was authorized, and it has happened since 2018. It is an atrocity. Okay, so this is not about money, it's not about height, it's not about all this other stuff. It's about the quality of life of the people that are left behind. So in this decision, I would like to know what will be the quality of life of these people. I hear someone who lived there talking about flooding already. This city does not have the infrastructure, period. You do the infrastructure first. Until you do the infrastructure, you have no right to destroy the lives of people. I am the one of the people living with that destruction and have been waiting for years for the city to fix it. And we were not even part of the city. We were annexed by you people. All right? So you do the infrastructure first. And another thing, you talk about live local law. I think it was a little disingenuous to have people vote with the impression that this is affected by live local law. It is not.
No,
I was sitting back
Eileen.
there. I was sitting back there
this-
and I looked it up. This is a residential property and therefore is not affected. And I confirmed
You said
this.
that, and I came here.
I confirmed this with Mr. Cook. I came up and I read it back there, and then I came and I privately asked him before I challenged it. All right?
But
It
challenge,
is-
right. But
I understand
Mr.
that, but they had already
After you're done.
voted.
Okay.
And that is what I am talking about, fairness. All right? That's what I'm talking about. I am talking about fairness.
Thank
It is not
you.
affected.
Yeah, thank you. But I think you take that out of context, because when I said, you said what you had to say, and I said to you, there's a law that's coming, which had nothing to do with this project. You then came to me and said, I think some people might have taken it in terms of you are talking about this project. And what I did, I went back and I corrected. I said, you know what, let's, in front of everyone. So, and then you came back and said, what, but anyhow, okay. Huh? There was no one that had voted, because what I said, it had nothing to do with local act, with the Live Local Act. So that, you know, in terms of that. Go ahead, Ms. De Leon.
Hi, Karen DeLeon, 1935 South Hibiscus. Alex, thank you for hosting this. Thank you, people, for coming. I'm not voting. I don't live there. I don't feel that anybody that put a dot up there that doesn't live right there, that won't be living there after it, should be voting. And I speak from that, from what we went on with White House Inn. I just don't want us to start going, if we go and develop your neighborhood, we'll get more tax dollars. Oh, but your neighborhood looks even hotter. Let's go develop that. I agree, it's a beautiful piece of land. But God, what was it? We were here till 2, 3, 4 in the morning when we work on the master plan for an area. And look, I honestly would never live in any of those single family homes next to the tall building that's there now. That's me. I don't feel that that's community. I don't like the feeling of a tall building next to me. That is me. I cannot speak for that building, for the people in that area. But I would hope that those are the people that you, Alex, could sit down with the same way you sat down with Keystone and with the developers, for the people that are going to stay in the area, that are going to be directly impacted, and figure out what could work together. So that's just my request. Once again, I express my appreciation, and thank you, everybody, for caring about your neighborhood.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
So thank you, Ms. Love and Mr. Mayor. So just for clarification about density, that we are talking about, so as we have established, the BZ zone allows for 100 units per acre by right. We're talking about an area that is 5.89 acres. So you're looking at potentially, right now, you could do 589 units in that area right now by right. And through the conditional use permit, as we're speaking about, it's not increasing density, it's not changing anything. This is something that Ms. Love has stated, and I stated in my presentation. You can do additional 25 units per acre through the conditional use permit in any property that is zoned multifamily throughout the city. So they wouldn't be enacting any right that is not allowed elsewhere. That's something that they could do. So if you're looking at an additional 25 units per acre for 5 units for 5.8 acres, nearly 6, you're looking at additional 300 units in the area by right through the conditional use permit process. You can do that today. It doesn't have anything to do with height whatsoever.
Check your math. 580. And what's 1/4 of 580? 125, 130,
So,
145.
so if you do, you're correct. I was doing 60. So it's much less. So you're looking at, if you're doing it like that, you're looking at 5 times 25, that gives you 125 of addition. So it's an additional, almost 150 units additional to the area. So you'll be looking at 500, 600, you're looking at 750 units for the area.
But it's based upon parcel by parcel. So each parcel is, whatever that acreage is, it comes out to be 100, and if they seek the bonus, it would be 125 dwelling units per acre, if they're seeking the bonus.
If there was.
That's correct?
If, yes, but the site that it's a little more, for the whole area, yes, you're looking at, the number is 750, a little less than 750 for the entire area. Mhm.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I do apologize for coming in late. Do I give my address?
No, yeah,
Oh,
name and address.
Okay,
yes.
Claudia Pasmino, 13504 Northeast 23rd Place. Again, I'm late, so I don't know what's been discussed. But when I walked in, I'm a no, I do not want it to go higher. I know when a lot of people moved to North Miami, including my mom who moved here in 1997, was for a reason. You know, if people who moved here and bought houses wanted to live next to a tall building, then they wouldn't have come to North Miami. And I remember coming here several meetings, and people said that they moved from New York. It was a married couple saying that they chose North Miami to buy their first home for a reason, because they like the look. And now all of a sudden, they're creating these tall buildings. As far as community, I do not live there. I live in Arch Creek East. But in my sense, a community is that we come together. So if I see my neighbor having trouble or upset about something, I'm there for them, because that famous poem that they came for so-and-so, nobody did nothing, then they came from so-and-so, nobody did nothing, now they came for me. So I don't live in the area, but if those who live in the area tell me no, and they tell me for a good reason no, then I'm for them. So I'm a no.
Thank you. Get this. I guess you stop it, and then how do you go? I think.
Hi, my name is Belinda Andretti. I actually don't live in Keystone or Sans Souci. I live in Miami Shores, but I have a lot of family that live in Sans Souci Estates and in Keystone too. So I look at this as progress. And I understand, because I live in the shores, so I get, you know, what people are afraid of. We're going to lose the community, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that. But at the end of the day, we have hundreds of people that are moving to Miami every day. We can't control that. We're not closing our borders in Florida and saying, oh, Californians can't come in, New Yorkers can't come in. They're coming in, and they're moving everywhere. And you know what's really important is that in North Miami, we're going to have that amazing hospital. Yes. That amazing, amazing hospitals. And doctors are signing contracts as we speak to come with their families to live in, to live in Miami. And you know what? There's no homes. There's no inventory for them to buy. Every home is $8 million and up, $12 million and up, $20 million and up. Okay, these are doctors. They earn a good living, but they certainly can't buy those homes. Where are they going to live? In some of these dilapidated buildings that are 50 years old, that are 40 years old, that are going to end up being bought out, and then they have no homes? Excuse me. This is a really great situation from them, that they can live in a luxury building, have their kids go to a great school in North Miami or in Miami Shores, and they can work 5 minutes from their house. Otherwise, they have to move to Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, and drive an hour to get there because there's no homes in Miami, there's no homes in Sans Souci, and there's no homes in Keystone at an affordable price. So I think by building these beautiful luxury
Oops,
apartments,
time.
they have the chance to
Thank
live
you.
in their area. And you know what? They're doing us a favor coming to the hospital in North Miami and helping us out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, anyone else? Okay, seeing none coming, you want to be the last speaker? Go ahead, sir. Oh, yes.
Timer.
We got you.
Oh, you got me? Thank you.
Mhm.
My name is Andres Barreto. I'm a resident of 2177 122nd Street. I've been living in the city of North Miami for 12 years. And I think we agree on many things. I want progress. I want more tax revenue. I want a better quality of life for me and my family in that neighborhood. The reason why we chose to live in that neighborhood is because you can find apartments and houses for $400,000 and be neighbors with the houses that are $2 million. So my Honda Civic next to a Ferrari is wonderful. I think we can have a luxury building. I think that luxury building can have up to 211 units. I think that luxury building can be a luxury building the size of Mallorca. And as a father of 2 children, one 5-year-old boy and a 11-month-old girl, I want to see a better neighborhood. I want to see a park for kids. I want to see sidewalks so my kids don't get run over. I want to see shade. And I think all of those things are possible, which is why I put the no but. I also want the residents of Miners Bay to be able to have an out and an option. But I also see a lot of greed and selfishness from the people that want to sell the apartments going from 400 to $1 million. Why not? So that my family can't no longer afford to live in this wonderful neighborhood. I think we can reach the height. I think we can find a compromise and not necessarily have to give in to the greed. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. In conclusion, I would like to really thank everyone on a Friday afternoon to come out and to have this little dialogue. I think we heard from people from all sides of the debate. I've received a lot of emails from various residents, those who oppose and those who are for the project. I met with the developer and I say to them, I will meet with the residents before I would definitely be voting on the particular item. But I will say this, I told them that I would not, I'm very in support of it, and I think I'm hearing this from the room, of having something there. But I told them flat out, I did think that the 200 or whatever that they proposed was a little bit too high for me in terms of that. But again, I made it very clear, I don't live over there. So I am going to listen to the people who live over there in terms of that. I said it very briefly, and I'm one of those folks, I don't go into meetings and say one thing in private and then come out and say something different. I'll keep it real and just say what it is. So I do think there might be room for a compromise for all of us in here to win in terms of that. I don't think the 200 and, 38 story. But I'm hearing some stuff from some folks there. We are, making some progress, but not where it will affect the livelihood and the thing of the residents who live in the area and those who are moving in. So the purpose of this meeting is to truly have a little dialogue and see what I should be at least coming up with. That's a good compromise in terms of that. We did that it was a very complicated issue with the White House with back and forth, and we could do that. I'm here. I'm willing to listen to do that, but I don't know in terms of the leverage that the community has. I know I have been receiving emails. This has been an ongoing issue for over 6 months, which we all know. with the developers, and it's not one developer, it's various developers, different folks, residents who have a stake in the project. But I want to be mindful for everybody, folks at Majorca Towers and folks who live around the area. So I wanted to say thank you. I heard everyone, but I wanted to let everyone, who attended at least to hear that I am definitely for something they're not the height that they are going for, and that's my whole. So over the weekend, the next week or so, you could email me. We could conversate. If you kind of come up with a number you think that would be, fair, decent to you. I've heard something here I like, but I don't want to say it. But I think somebody kind of said something that's fair. Not something crazy in terms of the developers, doing this. But this is for the community. In terms of that, because right now, based on what they're saying, there's over 500 something units that could have gone as of right. Thank God they're not doing that. So if we could control that in a way, let's do that, and then we could talk about what we could do, whatever that we can control. Of course they would want the 238 units, and I told them, I said, listen, personally for me, I don't live in the area. I think it's a little bit too high in terms of where we are, and especially with the president in terms of our city, with the different developments going on. Yes, sir.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, my apologies. I just want to be clear that the request, because people are expressing some angst about the height, remember it's just up to 238 feet, and it is through a conditional use permit. And you could decide if it come up, or no, you only decide to give them 175. It could be 180.
Yeah, they kind of. Yeah, I think the top end was too much starting there for me. The 238. That's my. I know they're not asking for the 238, but I'm saying the fact that we would say that they can, or I think that's where and they will. It may not be them, but they will. Yes. Listen, I don't listen, Pat. That was not the discussion tonight. In terms, I said let's talk and conversate and see what's a good compromise. I've heard from people. I've been getting emails in terms of that. I think the people here very clearly they want something that's manageable, not crazy big. And in terms of the infrastructure, it's every city. We are 100 years old almost. This city was incorporated way before 1926, but officially in 1926. So we're gonna be 100 years old in about 2 years. So yes, infrastructure everywhere is not to the best all around the country. That's why the Biden administration has put a lot of efforts and money into infrastructures, and we are working hard to address our biggest infrastructure. And I think everyone in this room knows that one of the fight that I've taken on is we have to make sure that we get our water plant done, which is the most critical for everything that we are talking about. I mean, period. No, we don't get the money from that. No, Bill, not from there. No, 250 million, no. But what I'm saying is we get it, but even without this project, we need the infrastructure because the water plant is at a point where we cannot even fix it anymore, and we've seen development coming. Solomia is getting ready to do their condos now. We have a development here, 338 units, is it, Annabelle, Residence Garden? 37, yeah, and then there's another one, a senior living, that's a couple hundred units that's going up. Another one up the street by Presidente going up, and then all of these. So thousands of people estimated within the next 5 years will be moving here. And in the next 10 years, we're probably going back up to being the fourth or the third largest city based on the population that's coming in. So we know the infrastructure is critical for all of us. Yes, sir.
Let me add something. Alex, in our county, there are more than 60, at the moment, more than 60 buildings over 500 feet tall. Some of them going 1,000 feet tall. And here we are, considering something at 250 feet. You know what parts of this county, a tear down. A tear down. And then it doesn't bring the revenue that we need, and it doesn't bring the quality that we need, that we could actually have. Let's treat the community and have something inspiring and do something that can really generate serious income. And by the way, and on infrastructure, let's do this. Let's make the developers raise the street and put in all the water, sewer, storm drainage. Let them raise it 5 or 10 feet. Let's have them raise it. We can do that right here. Because they're going to be
Yeah.
taking dirt. They're taking dirt.
Okay, are we,
out of the ground.
you done with your, with the comments?
It could be a win-win.
Okay, got it, thank you. Yes, email me suggestions, but Bill, I thought you'd be thrilled. I mean, you got me moving somewhere, but you want your number. Well, hey, listen, they like to see 60, so, you know, we grew up something out. Thank you again. Please email me, text, call, whichever best method for you, but thank you again. We wanted to be respectful of everyone's time. No, thank you, sir, and I really appreciate the thing. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night. This was good. Yeah. Bill, you getting somewhere.
Thank you, sir. I'll give this back to, did this stay here? Okay. Can you add that to our record, sir?